Charlie Heller was never meant to be in the field. He was a CIA codebreaker, someone who worked behind a screen, not behind a gun. Most mornings, he spent his time restoring an old Cessna, a gift from his wife. It was the one quiet part of his life. But when his wife was killed in a bombing overseas, everything changed. The agency called it terrorism, a tragic accident. Though something about the official story didn't sit right with Charlie. The timelines were off. The answers felt too clean. So he started digging. But what he found raised more questions than answers. And when the people he worked for refused to tell him the truth, he decided to find it himself, no matter what it cost. Charlie Heller was grieving, but beneath the sorrow, a quiet suspicion was growing. His wife, Sarah, had been in London when she was taken hostage and later executed during what the CIA called a botched terrorist incident. But when Charlie accessed internal CIA surveillance data and decrypted buried footage, he uncovered something shocking. The so-called explosion was actually a covert drone strike, authorized by the CIA, meant to eliminate a high-value target. Sarah and others were collateral damage. The agency had tried to cover it up, branding it as an external attack to avoid a scandal. Charlie brought the evidence to his boss, Deputy Director Moore, but Moore dismissed him by telling him to go on bereavement leave and let it go. That only made Charlie more determined. He took a massive risk. He hacked the CIA, not just to get answers, but to get leverage. He set up a digital dead man switch. If anything happened to him, the truth would leak to the public. Under pressure, the CIA reluctantly agreed to his terms. They gave him limited access to travel, equipment, and time. But behind the scenes, they also assigned a tail to watch him and a plan to shut him down permanently. Meanwhile, someone else was watching too. Charlie had been communicating with a mysterious contact under the alias Inquiline. She was sharp, discreet, and somehow always one step ahead. She warned him when people were following him. She helped him erase digital footprints, and she was the only person he trusted. Their first lead was a man named Mishka, a former intelligence contractor linked to covert drone operations. Charlie tracked Mishka to a luxury hotel in Paris, where Mishka was staying during a conference. Through hacked surveillance footage, Charlie learned that Mishka liked to go night swimming in the rooftop pool. So Charlie studied the structure, its layout, the glass panels, even the pressure systems. But before he could act, Inquiline warned him that CIA operatives were nearby, and one of them, Agent Henderson, was closing in. Charlie refused to abort the mission. He went to the rooftop and confronted Mishka directly. He told him he knew Sarah's death wasn't random, and that Schiller was the one responsible. When Mishka didn't respond, Charlie showed him a remote. It controlled a device that had been slowly destabilizing the glass walls of the pool. Mishka panicked and tried to run. Charlie pressed the button. The glass broke, and Mishka fell 16 floors to his death. Charlie escaped, but not without trouble. In the hotel's back exit, Henderson attacked him. A brutal fight broke out between Henderson and another CIA agent who was sent to capture Charlie. Henderson was gravely wounded, but still alive. With what little strength he had left, he told Charlie to run. Charlie listened and escaped. The next morning, Director Samantha O'Brien, who was another senior figure at the CIA, called Moore into her office. She asked where Charlie was. Moore claimed that he was still on bereavement leave, but O'Brien didn't believe him. It was clear now that the agency was divided. Some wanted Charlie dead. Others weren't so sure. Meanwhile, a group of CIA analysts, led by Caleb, had uncovered something troubling. Surveillance footage from Paris showed that Charlie hadn't acted alone. One agent found messages between Charlie and someone using the name Inquiline. Suspicious of the name, Caleb dug deeper and discovered that the real agent who once used that code name, a field operative named Davies, was long dead, which meant someone else had taken their place, and it might have been Charlie's wife. Back in Istanbul, Charlie was lying low and feeding turkeys, which was part of a routine that let him stay off the grid. Inquiline asked how he was holding up. Charlie barely responded. He was numb. She gently opened up, saying that after her husband died, she filled her life with work just to avoid the silence. She warned Charlie if he kept doing what he was doing, he might never heal. He said nothing. That night, something felt off. Turkeys began squawking outside. Inquiline rushed to the computer. The CIA had found them. She triggered a system reset, wiping all data. Then she and Charlie slipped out the back door just as agents burst in. But during the escape, she was shot. Charlie drove away, dragging her into her garage. She died there, in his arms. He stayed with her body until morning in silence, broken and alone once more. But the mission wasn't over. Charlie's next target was Gretchen Frank, a former CIA liaison turned rogue asset. He traced her to New York. As she crossed the street, Charlie triggered a nearby car to accelerate remotely. It clipped her, and she collapsed. He didn't stay to confirm the kill. The act was a decision driven by justice. He followed Inquiline's plan and moved on to the next lead, Lawrence Fishburne, a former arms dealer and intelligence middleman. Charlie tricked him into a meeting in Romania under the cover of selling weapons. Ellison opened the crate, only to find a series of IEDs. Charlie told him they were motion triggered. If he moved, they'd explode. Then Charlie showed him a photo of Sarah and asked again, "Where's Schiller?" Elish broke. He said Schiller was still active, receiving deliveries through a port in the Baltics. He only communicated through codes, passed via two proxies, Simon and Christoph. Once the codes reached them, Schiller would know the source was trusted. Charlie took the information and left Elish standing there, alive but scared. From there, Charlie traveled to the port, using the boat's registration number to track a yacht that Schiller's men used. He stayed quiet, studying sea routes, learning the schedules, and identifying which boat Schiller used. When he sent a message using Elish's codes, one of the three men nearby checked his phone. That had to be Schiller. Charlie tried to follow him, but lost him. He trailed his men instead, took pictures, and kept building a digital case. Suddenly, the Bear, a former CIA agent, showed up. He told Charlie to stop, saying Sarah wouldn't have wanted this. But Charlie quietly replied, "I can't go home. She's not there." Then came the final confrontation. Charlie was captured by Schiller's men and brought aboard the yacht. Schiller sat across from him and asked who sent him. Charlie didn't lie. He said he came alone. He came for Sarah. Schiller calmly explained that Sarah's death wasn't personal, but a strategic move meant as a message to law enforcement. Then he handed Charlie a gun and dared him to kill him. Charlie froze, unable to pull the trigger. But then he looked up and told Schiller he didn't need to. He had already taken over the yacht's controls, remotely rerouting it into Finnish waters. The trick was that Charlie had once helped encrypt the vessel's software, and by using the phone numbers of Schiller's men, he discovered a hidden way in. Soon after, Finnish authorities boarded the ship. Schiller and his men were arrested, and everything was finally over. The next day, Director O'Brien gave a press conference. She confirmed that several unauthorized CIA black ops had taken place, and that multiple high-ranking officials had been arrested. When she was asked about the whistleblower, she simply said, "They're still with the agency." Later, Charlie was approached by a familiar face, Henderson. He had survived. He told Charlie that he was proud of what he did, that he had guts, and that maybe, one day, they'd meet again. Charlie returned to Sarah's grave. He stood there for a long time in silence. Then he walked out to an old garage, opened the door, climbed into a dusty Cessna plane that Sarah had once given him, and flew into the open sky. He didn't find closure, but he found something close. The Amateur is more than just a spy thriller. It's a story about grief, corruption, and what happens when you're pushed too far. Charlie Heller didn't start this story as a hero. He was a husband, a code breaker, a man with nothing left to lose. But in the end, when the world buried the truth, he uncovered it. And in a world built on lies, sometimes the most dangerous weapon is the truth. So, would you have done what Charlie did? Fought the system no matter the cost? Comment your thoughts. If you're still here, we know you're not just a casual viewer. Hit that subscribe button like it's a backdoor into the CIA. More betrayals, more deep dives, more characters with nothing left to lose coming your way.